The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Wake up, Cowboys Nation. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison. Ladies, what's poppin'? It's been a minute. How y'all doing?
Hey, it's a good morning. We got Dak Prescott's up for a major award.
Yeah, it's got to be a good day to be Dak Prescott, and of course us, because we have a luxury of covering a quarterback like Dak. Let's just briefly touch on it a little bit. Thoughts on Dak being NFL or a finalist for NFL Comeback Player of the Year, ladies?
Effing right.
All right, effing right. That's
wow. Good
end
morning.
of discussion.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I saw when it was posted, it reminded me of the off-season conversation about how he would come back off the injury, and I was just like, in my head, I was like, I kind of forgot, like, the way he just came out, even week one against the Eagles, giving them a chance, against the Super Bowl reigning champs on the road. There was no hiccups. Like, if anything, other people around him looked like, they were trying to get back into it. And he didn't have any slumps, arguably one of his best season thus far. And talking to him all season, he said not only did he feel healthy, it's just the experience and how he's able to read these defenses and things he's learned about himself. Obviously, he's a vet, 10th year, and I'm just hoping that he's able to keep it going next year when the other side of the ball is on.
Yeah, it's a well-deserved nomination. It's tough competition, though, because the other folks who were up.
McCaffrey on there.
Christian McCaffrey, of course, that was the calf and the Achilles injury going into the season, coming out of camp, went over to Germany, try and get some treatment for the Achilles, and then comes back, and then in December suffers the knee injury, and he had a magnificent season. So, and then Stephon Diggs, wide receiver. Of course, the injury happened last year when he was with the Houston Texans, and that was a torn ACL at the midpoint of the season. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville quarterback, who had a terrific season, leading the Jaguars to the playoffs and all, but last year that was a big shoulder injury that he had in Week 9, and then came back, and a few weeks later, really devastating hit. Some of may remember Al-Aziz Shahir with the Houston hit him real hard and caused a concussion, and big scrap and melee going on after that. And then, of course, Aiden Hutchinson of the Detroit Lions. And that injury happened in Week 6 against the Cowboys last year. And that was the broken tibia and fibula, so the two bones in the lower leg. So good luck to Dak. He certainly deserves it. But those are some terrific stories by the other nominees as well.
And the McCaffrey one is the one that stands out the most to me out of all of them, just because it was just so interesting. It felt like it was one Achilles, and then it was the other one. And it was just so much information. There was really, so much uncertainty about him coming back this season, especially as a running back. And for that San Fran team in general, it sucks to say, but their resiliency as a team was just, remarkable to see. So, but glad to see our guy get recognized. Glad to see people say, hey, that guy can play. Hopefully no more of the Dak isn't a good quarterback type stuff for the upcoming years. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, only Cowboy to be nominated for any of these AP honors. But would you like to hear Defensive Player of the Year and a few of the other things? I just mentioned Will Anderson for the Houston, right? Nick Bonito, who we'll see on Sunday. He's the really great linebacker for the Broncos. Had a great game against the Cowboys when we were there in Denver. Myles Garrett, Arlington, Texas's own, Texas A&M's own, Cleveland Browns, setting a single-season sack record. We mentioned Aiden Hutchinson, so also nominated for Defensive Player of the Year as well as Comeback Player of the Year. And then one Micah Parsons for the Green Bay Packers. So you have a current Cowboy and a former Cowboy
No.
who were up for awards.
It was only defensive linemen and linebackers?
So
Apparently, no. Well, it's interesting because last year Patrick Surtain.
That's what I was about to say, is-
He was
I expected at least maybe
cornerback
one
for
corner.
So you have a Bronco defender make it this year as a nominee, but it's not Surtain. It's actually Nick Benito. So yeah, interesting.
Well, in other news, we got to start talking about this DC candidacy. Shout out to Dak. Hopefully he does win the award. But we got to touch on this DC candidate interviews process so far. The Cowboys, shout out to Nick Harris for doing the research on this. He did go back and look at how many interviews or DC candidate interviews the Cowboys have conducted since back to 1973. He did report that some have not been on record, but this year has been the most that they've ever interviewed, the most candidates, so to speak. And he did, of course, note that, that was in place with the Rooney Rule not put in place until 2020. So talking about the in-person interviews, Jonathan Gannon, former head coach for Arizona. You have Christian Parker, pass game coordinator, DB's coach in Philly. Cowboys looking into Durante Jones. He was one of their first in-person interviews. Vikings DB's pass game coordinator, and I believe Ian Rappaport reported that they are still interested in Jim Leonhard, but of course they can't talk to him until the Broncos season is ending. So big picture, talking about these candidates so far, which one has caught your eye the most, ladies? Anybody?
I would say Parker just because I think lesser known, kind of outside of football circles, kind of not as mainstream a name as some of the others. And some of us who are old remember like when Jim Leonhard played and all that kind of stuff, or you follow college football and you know that he coordinated for Wisconsin and things like that. But just really interesting that Parker and then Jones, right? That they are pass game coordinators under Vic Fangio, right?
That's
For the
important.
Eagles and for Flores, Brian Flores with the Vikings. And so I just find it also interesting. Of course, Jim Leonhard, a former defensive back. So I just find it very interesting that all of them work more like DBs and kind of pass game rather than D-line. Now, Aaron Whitecotton, who's the current Dallas Cowboys defensive line coach, also got an interview, but everything else is like on the back end and working with a pass game rather than focusing more.
Well,
on
know
the
your
line.
deficiencies.
Yeah.
Know what you struggle at. I mean, I agree. I agree that.
And maybe I'm reading too much into that.
No. There's not. It's a pattern, and I mean, we heard.
You all right?
I sound loud to myself.
It's okay.
Okay, sorry.
Be loud and proud.
I was like, dang, I'm loud.
It's all right.
On ears. But no, I do think, like, to Christy's point, you do see a pattern with a lot of these gentlemen that they have interviewed are secondary coaches or gentlemen. And I thought that's important because you've been talking about it. I know you didn't talk about it. Is this secondary has not played up to par. And where you are with this secondary, you really are, like we talked about, Deron Bland coming off of another surgery. You have Savon Revel that is coming back off of the ACL, trying to see him build some confidence. You're in a place where you're kind of really rebuilding this secondary. Even from the safety position, you got some, like, no guarantees that a Donovan Wilson's going to return.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
And then Malik Hooker, I think does he have one more year? Or is this
one or two?
He has one more year. Time for a rehaul. And I think Dallas is, attacking this, in the right way. I think they have a lot of good things going for him up front. When you talk about Christian Parker, though, I'm really excited about him because just the little bit of time that I've gotten to kind of do some digging on him as a person, how he likes to teach, how detail-oriented he is. Christy brought up a fantastic point about who he is coached under in Vic Fangio. As we know, one of the most versatile defensive coordinators, one of the more fluid ones as well. These guys, that Philly secondary plays extremely disciplined. And I want to point out, Philly took a risk, y'all. I mean, they double dipped in the draft, draft, and then they let go a lot of their veteran guys, and they bet on those young guys to come play, and they were one of the most technically sound groups that we watched all year. I know on film that I watched all year.
You're talking about Quinyon Mitchell.
Yes,
and
yes,
Cooper
yes,
DeJean.
yes. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They let go of some of those older safeties, older corners, and they took a risk. And those guys came out there and played really good football. And also, too, something that doesn't get mentioned to me that I think is important is the linebackers. A lot of the time with teams are going to be working with secondary coaches and stuff like that, depending on how much coverage they're having to do. Philly's linebackers is one of the better teams against the pass when it comes to the linebacker position. Kobe Dean has his little myths. But I say all that to say that we know that Dallas really struggled there this year. So I'm looking at, like, what are they looking for? I think they want this team to cover better. They're tired of giving up big plays. They're tired of, like, another thing about Philly's defense, their secondary comes up in tackles. Very physical at the point of attack. So, and then with Gannon, how are you ladies feeling about that? Because I feel like the fan base is like, meh. But I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. When he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, they were 10th in total defense his first season, and his second season, I mean, they were second in total defense, first in pass defense, 8th in scoring defense. They led the NFL with sacks with 70. I mean, these guys could get after it. So I'm wondering, like, how y'all feel about Gannon, because
I'm kind of like
nobody.
I don't think anybody's.
People feel kind of iffy.
I'm kind of like torn between like and yay, like, you know, because
I think it's what tree he worked under compared to the
that's
other one.
I was trying to be.
I think anyone connected to Flus is going to be a thumbs down.
scrutinized,
and Mike Zimmer,
unfortunately.
and Mike Zimmer. Granted, Zimmer
And I
had
don't
a
think
little bit
Zimmer
more
is what-
success than I feel like Eberflus did, but I think that when you hear, like she said, the coaching tree, because when you hear about like a Kyle Shanahan, you're like, oh, this guy came from Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, okay. But when you hear the lack of success that Eberflus had, of course, seeing it this past season, and you hear that Jonathan Gannon comes from that tree, it's like,
Most fans are going to be turned off.
you know?
What do you think, Christy?
Yeah, I think it's kind of and we talked a little bit about it last week when I posed the question, open-ended, no judgment on my part, but how does everyone feel about having a defensive coordinator who has never called plays at the NFL level?
that's
or any level.
And now, the reason I ask that is, I see kind of these three candidates, and again, there are more.
There's other
These aren't
ones,
the only ones. But the thing about the Joneses in the past is they have preferred not only coordinators with head coaching experience. I think that's a little more recent, but who've had experience calling plays and stuff. And with Schottenheimer, I think that's the influence there of kind of these names that aren't as mainstream to us, that maybe aren't as well known, certainly don't have the previous relationships that the Joneses have had with some of these interview with some of these candidates, or they're not from the tree, from the Eberflus tree or the Marinelli tree, or, you know, you can go back to the offensive days, the Ernie Zampese tree on the offensive side of the ball. But here's the thing, when you talk about Parker and Jones, and we're saying that they were with the Eagles and the Vikings, Schottenheimer in this offense went against those two defenses this year, and they gave them fits, right? So that's part of there. So I see the emergence of those candidates in particular as being as showing how influential Schottenheimer is in this process.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, what you?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I wanted to know, like, the biggest thing that also Dallas had was like the adaptability aspect of it, like mid-game adjustments. And from what I was able to like look at a little bit, I felt as if, of course, they can't talk to Jim Leonard till the playoffs are done, but I feel like Jim Leonard had more of that like in-game adjustments type of skill, so to speak.
And Schottenheimer saw it firsthand in the game in Denver.
Exactly. So how far, or I'd say, how much does that weigh into with that aspect? Because they've talked about how they want a scheme flexibility. They've talked about how they want all these different characteristics, but adaptability has to be one of them, which is something that, you know, Shotty even said. So how much do y'all feel like those guys fit that sort of skill? Or who does the best?
Let's let's say all coordinators try and be adaptable.
For the love of God.
In Flus's defense, from the first quarter to the second quarter, or any adjustments in halftime, did your pass rushers get better in the game? Did you improve your personnel on the backside or at linebacker at any point during the game?
That's fair. Christy.
That's fair.
No, I'm not trying to be.
No, it's the truth though. I mean, it's a unit for a reason, and I know that's like something that's important. I mean, this is the defensive end heavy class. Do you think we ain't looking at it? Show is. But as far as I'm on the fence. I think you bring up a good point, Nicole, about the in-game adjustments and a guy, to Christy's point, a gentleman that has been there before, has done it before. I think a lot of teams, I mean, what if Dallas is in a place to where they look at this window, right? They look at, say they re-sign Pickens, say they bring him back, say they bring back Javonte Williams, say they bring back these guys. Dak Prescott is aging. I've told people I think that he's going to play for a while. I think he has the body to play for a while and the smarts to play for a while. But with his prime time here, do you want to take a risk on a guy that is coming in and this is his first time calling plays? Now, I'm also of the mindset that a lot of our favorite play callers that we like, somebody had to give them a shot.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
They're not going to, you're not going to know what they are until somebody gives them a shot. Shout out to Al Harris getting an interview with the Washington Commanders. People, you have sometimes in this business, we look at it, listen like a Sean McVay. Some of these young guys, somebody just gave them a shot. So it's one of those in-between things where it's like, yeah, you can go with the old salty dog that you know that's going to come in here and do the business, but then at the same time, maybe you give somebody a shot. Maybe you give somebody a shot, and maybe they work out. That's why it's not our job.
We don't get paid for that.
I think
That's why it's not our job.
This whole run is, to Nicole's point, how she opened our show was most exciting is because of how different this approach is 2 years past. And then to Christy's point, talking about, recently they have gone with DCs who have that former head coach experience. Gannon is the only one on this list, right? That stands out to me. It also stands out that these are hot candidates other places as well. Like the Packers have interviewed everyone that the Cowboys have interviewed in person. I think that speaks volumes as well. And when you bring up the Vic Fangios of the world, there's only a select few who had the experience, the play calling, right? And I think what Shotty is, what type of coach Shotty is, it kind of has to match the defense. I think that was a lot of the clash this year. You kind of brought the old school, the very predictable of what was coming next. And the Cowboys defense was predictable. So if it's predictable to us, it's predictable to the other side. So I think for me, the Christian Parker is the most exciting out of who's been in the building and actually interviewed in person thus far, because of what they're known to do with the Eagles, right? And I also think that him not calling plays, to Chrissy's point, at any level, college or here, is the most concerning. But at this point, like, without being funny, like, you can only kind of go up.
Please.
We had somebody in here who called plays.
That's another thing, too, is that I did hear from someone in the building that the 2 interviews went really well. They are very high on both of these gentlemen. I got to hear a former coach talk about kind of the process and what they have them do.
You're talking about Parker and Jones?
Parker and Jones, rather. I apologize. I got to talk to a former coach about just kind of what the process is like when they're interviewing and stuff, and it's very detailed. I mean, they want to know that you took the time to look at the film from last year, that you're studying that, what can you bring here and all that stuff. So I don't know. I guess I do have a question from y'all because I know we about to go on break. You want me to ask when we come back from break?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
She already know.
We're gonna take our first break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. We'll be right back.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
All right, Cowboys fans, this one's for us. If the men in your life bleed blue and silver like we do, I've found the perfect way to elevate their game day rituals. Gillette just released their best razor in Cowboys colors, and it is everything a Cowboys fan could want. The new Gillette Labs official Dallas Cowboys licensed razor combines his Cowboys pride with Gillette's best shave. And with 50% longer lasting blades, it is truly the gift that keeps on giving. Get it while you can at Gillette.com/NFL. Gillette's best shave is also available as heated.
Cowboys Nation, Tom Gibson has been named your 2025 Dallas Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan, for his dedication to the team and spicing up the game. Vote for Tom to be named the ultimate NFL Fan of the Year at NFL.com/Fan of the Year.
Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. Nicole Hutchison, Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison. Aisha, what's your question? You said you're going to spice some stiff up.
I have a question. I was gonna ask, because I guess we talk about it, but I want to know: is this an appealing job? I feel like it's a mixed bag depending on what you ask. So I want to ask you, ladies, do y'all think that this is appealing job depending on the candidates? Like,
I think it
especially with so many other openings being existing right now. Is this a job that people you think want to take on? It is from what the defense was last year. It's some work. So I'm asking you, ladies, what you think.
That's a fair question. I feel like it. Yes, of course, it is appealing. This is the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody wants to work at this organization. Hear me out. Just hear me out.
That's why I asked. I knew it was gonna get messy.
You're childish. I hate you for this. I'm trying to beat around the bush for this one. I can say that in terms of like the history of the organization, right? Everyone wants to be a part of this rich history. Now, is it an appealing job? Because if you just look at this past year, the year before that, I'll just say these past 2 years, this defense, I mean, it's everybody, you can look it up. It has not been what it was supposed to be. And so I feel I can say it's a bit of both, because even when you look at Philly, I did see the report where they said that Philly's job is not one of the most sought out afters either. So I had to throw that in there to make us not look as bad. But I mean, I feel like if you're just thinking about, oh my God, working for the Dallas Cowboys, absolutely. But if you're thinking about what this defense looked like, if you're going to have real control over this defense, if you're going to be able to, run your defense like you want to run it, I'm not so sure. I hate you for this question.
I'm laughing at the
really
fact that you didn't have to bring up the fact that Dayball was like, I'm good. But McDermott was like, I'm good too, bro.
Hey, you asked the question, so I had to at least throw a little salt over there.
No, that's hilarious that, like, them coaches is like, nah, we good.
That's crazy. It's crazy. But I've said what I have to say.
Okay, that's how you feel.
Short and sweet.
Bree, please, Christy, one of you, I would love to hear. Is this an appealing job, y'all? Like, is it?
I want to hear from you. Is this an appealing job?
It's my question.
Oh my gosh, y'all are a mess.
For a DC, is it an appealing job?
Let me get proper.
Please.
Let me get proper. So this is how I imagine the conversation goes. This is what's replaying in my head. Just because Stephen Jones in the presser, linebackers, corner, not good. That's our number one, right? That's Stephen Jones from Words. I feel like, and this is what gives me some confidence, by the names we're looking at, young, fresh, right? Not necessarily unestablished, but unestablished in the position that they're getting hired for. Mm-hmm. I feel like the conversations, again, we were told that Schottenheimer is going to have input, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like the conversation is Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones talking about, hey, this ain't good right here. This is, we know overall, but this is like, we're building up front. This is a hot mess. And I feel like Schottenheimer had a lot to do with the names that we're looking at in the fact that all these coaches have some DB background, right? Mm-hmm. That's what gives me hope. Hope that when these candidates come in, that they're talking to Schottenheimer, they're seeing the vision, because I think a lot of people just assume people want this job because of the star, and then because this is an offense that could arguably continue to be one of the best going forward if everyone gets signed, everything gets taken care of. But I also think the Brian Flores was a little laughable to me because it was so lateral.
Oh, yeah, he went doing it.
And so I think his commitment to re-sign where he's at, whose offense is, to me, still real questionable in the air, it's not just Dallas offense is good, it's going to make my job easier. I think your turnover for DC is a red flag to anybody taking that job. These are young candidates. So guess what? Young candidates with families and young children, they have to move and live and adapt. Who wants to come here for a year, and if it doesn't go how it's supposed to go and they miss the playoffs again, you're out of a job, right? Like, no. And I think it's safe to say overall, nationally, the story is and is known, the front office kind of gets more involved than others, right? So I think that's going to really be the focus of when these candidates come in. Because if you have a guy who has been unestablished, yes, I think you kind of, this is, this is attractive. You offer me this big job. But if the other teams are also seeking out these hot candidates, and again, what does that pay look like? Like, all those things matter. And I think you have to think of pay, control, and turnover.
Mm-hmm. Chrissy, this is one of the lesser paying or most or more. Or,
they're not known for cashing out. They're not known for cashing out.
What'd you say?
But they did cash out. I'm gonna kick you out.
They did cash out to even.
Please.
But their point, I like your point about some of these younger candidates with their families and going someplace where you think your head coach is going to be there for a few more years or several more years. I think that works in the favor of the Cowboys because Schottenheimer established himself as first year. I know they didn't make the playoffs, but the Joneses, they like Schotty. Overall, he's building a great culture, did a great job with the offense. And so if you come in and you can help be a savior for the defense, I think that if I look at the Cowboys, I see more stability for the next few years because usually when you're blown out, it's not like Eberflus and Zimmer where the defense hasn't played well. It's usually major staff turnover because the head coach has been fired and the new people come in and bring their own people. Okay, so I think that works in the favor because they see Schottenheimer as establishing himself here. My questions in the interview process would be, we know you have 2 first-round picks, and I know you can't guarantee me who you're going to take because you know you're not going to be there, but what kind of commitment are you going to make to the defensive side of the ball? And not just in terms of, I'm not saying, I have to have the first 2, save both picks in the first round and use them both on defense, but I'm talking about the commitment of the balance of your salary cap on so much going to the offense, right? But at the same time, you currently have 3 defensive tackles on your roster that count $20 million or more against the cap next year. Okay? With Kenny Clark, with Quinnen Williams, and with Osa. But the other parts of the ball, the other positions on the defensive side of the ball, Bland, has a big commitment, but Trayvon's off the books. Anyway, what kind of commitment? Those are the questions I would be asking if I and thinking about if I were coming in as defensive coordinator. But to answer your overall question, is this still an attractive job? I would say personnel-wise, and seeing what's in the cupboard, what groceries do I have to work with to cook this meal? That cupboard's pretty bare right now at linebacker and defensive back especially. But, if I think that the team's going to make the commitment, I look at all the other things. To Nicole's point, I think there is still some cachet in working for the Cowboys. And I see a stable thing with Schottenheimer, at least for the next few years. Then overall, yes. But I need the commitment personnel-wise.
I kind of look at it
and can I bring
different.
and how many? You're going to bring in your own people too, right? If you're the coordinator, and that's the thing, it's not like. And again, we're not saying that it's going to necessarily be Jones or Parker that come in, right? But when you're leaving a staff, and it's not like he's going to bring a bunch of the Eagles coaches with him. Or if Jones comes down, he's not raiding Brian Flores' staff and bringing a lot of people with him. I can't imagine, maybe a couple.
You got to start fresh.
Yeah, it's not like Flus coming in and you've got the guys that worked with him, with the Bears and even before that.
Yeah, they got jobs.
So they got jobs already. And it would be lateral moves.
Right.
So it's not that the other teams have to release these coaches, right? So that's an interesting thing to consider as well. Is what about the position coaches underneath?
I kind of look at it a little different with the Schottenheimer thing, ironically, because to me, if Schottenheimer is getting more rope to play with, if you will, and gets the input and brings in his guys, and of course, in our mind, we're thinking this works, but we also had the number one offense and couldn't make it work. So I think if Schottenheimer gets all this, leeway to do what he wants to do and it doesn't work out, I kind of feel like he would be in the hot seat in his second year, as unfair as that might be, just historically of how other head coaches had more time to develop because what was it, 9 head coach vacancies?
10 now. 10 now with McDermott.
It's wild.
So if a Harbaugh type of guy, a Tomlin type of guy, a McDermott type of guy is
takes
available,
a year off and they want to come back.
Yeah, I don't know if that's for me as a DC appealing because I just saw you guys fry Eberflus all season.
Well,
I'm a young guy. I'm coming in. I haven't done this before, and of course you're hoping for the support, but they know how this business works. And if another place who isn't dead last in defense, has something a little bit stronger, like I think the Packers job might be a little bit more appealing personally, but and that's who you're going against. Yeah. Everybody with the Dallas Cowboys have interviewed in person, so have the Packers. So
and going back to the control part, it's knowing that, like what Christy was saying, is are you willing to go out and get the players that we need to succeed? Like that's been the biggest. Of course, they brought in a Quinnen Williams, but other than that, like Kenny Clark, that was for the trade. But like other than that, like they got lucky with Jadeveon Clowney. Let's keep it a stack.
Yeah.
But like and Carl Lawson the year before that. Other than that, like there's been not that much success from the defensive side of the ball with the guys that they have gone out and gotten in free agency and things like that. So it's also how much. Are they trusting the fact that they will have that opportunity to go out and get those players?
I think it's going to be.
That's why I'm not.
I think that's why it's important who you bring in here.
Well, yeah, I think this to your point earlier, this is pivotal for this hire is one of the most pivotal hires I think in a while. Yes. Because it's not just about, you just mentioned Bree, the head coach, new head coach. No matter how we felt about what they did on the offensive side of the ball this past season,
a couple weeks ago, they put us through. We don't even know what. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Last season is, it falls under the head coach. Unfortunately, that's just his game. That's just how it goes. And so Shotty does have a big responsibility in making sure he gets a guy in here that is successful. But also, too, there's so much, Christy's point, there is so much talent sprinkled through this team on the offensive side of the ball, guys that you want to get the best years out of. CeeDee Lamb in his prime.
And monetary commitment.
Like, there's so much going on riding on this decision being right. Mm-hmm. And then also, too, your locker room. Mm-hmm. You have to show your locker room, and again, much respect to Eberflus, but, like, this locker room was not solid this past year. I'm talking about specifically on the defensive side of the ball. From the things we heard about, the miscommunications, like all of those things, you are also in a place to where you are trying to get this locker room to take you seriously with this hire, and taking seriously. Another thing, Nicole, y'all, like, these draft picks, they got a hit. That's what I was hearing from Christy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because that's what I was hearing when she was talking about the salary cap and all the money on the offensive side of the ball.
You can't have any more Taco Charlton.
You cannot not hit on the defensive side of the ball with these draft picks. These got to be slam dunk guys. And luckily for the Cowboys, there's a lot of slam dunk guys. I can't wait to see how many first-round grades come out of this class, because there's some really good talent at the top level. Dallas should be able to go BPA at 12 and live their life and go about their business. And at 20. Thank you, Green Bay. Please. For messing it up.
I want to stop you right there, because we were going to talk about that in our next segment. We got to take our second break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign. But up next, we are going to dive into some of the best, or some of the top defensive end positions or players out there heading into this year's draft. Aisha will have us covered on that, but we're going to take our second break. We'll be right back.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
How does the cheerleader's hair always look so perfect? We asked, and they shared one of their biggest beauty secrets. If you want hair like theirs and confidence to match, use Babyliss Pro styling tools. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders use Babyliss Pro curling irons to get those perfect game day curls. To get the hair you see on the cheerleaders, head to BabylissPro.com. Use the code Cowboys20 for 20% off Babyliss Pro tools, the official styling tools of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Get the discount while it lasts. Offer may be withdrawn at any time at advertiser's discretion.
Auditions for the 2026 Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders open March 13th. Don't miss your chance to audition for America's Sweethearts. Learn more at DallasCowboysCheerleaders.com/auditions.
Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk. Excuse me, sorry. Presented by Invisalign in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Christy Scales, Brianna Aldridge, Aisha Morrison, and ladies, as promised, we got to touch on some of these candidates. Wow, I don't want to say candidates.
It's okay.
It's fine. Some of these defensive players, defensive ends specifically, coming into this year's draft. Aisha, who stands out to you the most that could potentially land with the Cowboys?
Well, I mean, with Dallas, like I said, this draft is a very linebacker, defensive end, cornerback. Thank you, Lord. Look at Jesus. Look how he do it for us. Rich class. And, I mean, if you watched the championship game the other night, you had the opportunity to watch Reuben Bain Jr., defensive end out of Miami. This dude is 6'3", 275, has a lot of size on him, and he's a nugget. Him just 21. One thing that I've picked up on as I started looking into the draft this year, you got a lot of guys coming out young. Man, it's some babies coming out. Some of these guys are 20. They might be 21 when the season starts.
And that's different from the last couple years with the COVID kids.
Yes, it's
coming
a
out
lot.
At age 23, 24,
yes.
25.
So that's something that's different. You are seeing a lot. Like, these guys are young, and there are some of these, and then there's some of these guys that are returning. But Dallas, I think, is in need of a speed rusher. I think that Dallas is in need of somebody that can really bend the corner. We saw Donovan Izaraku develop as a run stopper this year. And also, too, I think he's still working his hands. He's still trying to make sure he keeps guys' hands off of him. I'm really looking for him to improve his play strength. But if you don't bring back a Clowney, I pray you do. But you need somebody to pair with him. You absolutely do. The defensive interior is kind of stacked. Now, Reuben Bain is a gentleman that I think some people are kind of like, is he a speedy end? I think that Dallas is in need of a speed rusher. As I said, like, a lot of their edges, and we got to see that with the lack of pass rush, were powerful guys, but not twitchy. Not guys that are going to win, like, with quick pressures. You were seeing, I remember during the season, we saw how many times, like, the team would be led in pressures by the defensive tackles. You need a defensive end that can stress the defense, and I really think that Reuben Bain is a guy that can do that. He can also move inside. He has a great pad level to play, to be so young, to know how to not get too high. His motor is crazy. He has crazy explosion off of the line of scrimmage. He has great foot quickness. He has great size as well. I mean, 275, 6'3". This is a guy that can play on the outside. You can line him out wide, but also, too, you saw Miami do that a lot. It really puts a lot of stress on tackles because he's powerful, and then he's also fast off the line. I think you'll be able to use him in the stunt game. I think he can really grow into, a player that can change a game, and he's a leader. So I think that he's a gentleman that Dallas will have the opportunity to, if he's there, we'll see if he gets picked. He's number one.
You think he's going to?
We'll see.
You think he's going to go?
People are concerned
go as low as number 12.
People are concerned about the arm length, but I don't think that that's going to matter once he tests. I think.
See, I'm shocked. I thought he was going to go. It's not a slam dunk that he's going to be higher.
I think that it will become a slam dunk eventually, but unfortunately, people see short arms, even though he has a lot of size. Yes, look past the measurables. His medicals are going to be important, all that stuff, and see what they say. But this is a violent player. I don't know if he's going to be there for Dallas. However, there are some defensive ends that are also going to be there. I think that Dallas also could look at a linebacker that can pass rush. There's quite a few.
What do we think about Styles? But is he a pass rusher?
Sonny Styles can. I also think the gentleman from Texas can. He is. What is his last name? Arvell Reese is a guy as well. But Sonny Styles is a guy that obviously can get after the passer as well. But Anthony Hill Jr., I think he's more of a later guy. He's more of a 20 than a 12. Okay. He can go. He can go. I'm really excited to see if he's going to be somebody that people look at as, I'm going to bring you in as a pass rusher sometimes. I'm going to use you in some spy opportunities and things like that. He also is pretty good, and he has some flex and coverage as well. So Dallas got options, y'all. Dallas can go BPA. You hear me? Dallas can go BPA and really get a really good player and a young player. They're going to get a very young player in these. Thank you, Green Bay. 12 and 20.
Does that concern you though, that these guys are so much younger than we've previously seen,
I'm
and
excited.
having to adapt to that NFL level playing?
Kind of, but I think a lot of coaches look at it as they get to mold you.
True.
Because a lot of the times when they play in multiple schemes, go through the transfer portal, all this stuff, they got all these different voices, all these different things. But when the NFL can set the standard for you sooner, I'm sure there's some coaches that love getting a young guy and being able to kind of mold him into the guy that you want him to be. But I'm telling y'all, like, Dallas should be able to improve this defense in the first round. Obviously, second round is...
What second round?
Okay, y'all. I got a question though. Wait. What if if Seattle do they big one, what type of comp pick are they gonna get for Tank?
For DeMarcus Lawrence?
Yes.
Can it be? I don't think it can be higher than a 3.
It can't be higher than a 3, but I'll take a 3.
A third round.
Facts.
But with that, you can use it to deal up into the second round if there's someone.
Maybe there's a guy that falls.
That's a major change over the last several years. I know that we mentioned it a few weeks ago, but in the past, when compensatory picks were introduced by the league, you could not trade them. And so you were if you got a 5th round pick, then you took, and by the way, compensatory picks take place in between rounds, okay? So you couldn't, you got to make the pick, but you couldn't deal it. And then a few years back, they changed it where you can deal it, and that's, and package it with other picks or just straight up, trade with it. So that's a big
Are we
deal.
rooting for the Seahawks?
Dallas might it could be huge.
It's already for regular season.
It's for regular
whether they
season.
whether DeMarcus Lawrence wins a Super Bowl or not.
It's just for
not gonna
regular
affect the
season production.
compensatory pick.
I am rooting.
You're not going to get a third. For
You don't think you're going to get a third?
Fifth.
You don't
It's
even
like
think
fifth.
you're gonna get a
It's
third
like a
for how
fifth.
he's played this year, a fourth
No,
at the very least for how he's played.
it's not about how you. It's about the contract.
Oh,
They
it's
say
the
it's about
money.
it's about a 5th.
Okay.
So.
That's
Well, you could still
Now
do some
Pickens will
dealing with
probably,
that.
if you lose Pickens with his contract, it's probably a 3rd, but you're not gonna get that till next year.
Don't make me
I
throw
don't want
up.
to talk about that.
I hate that scenario.
Don't make me throw up. I was just
don't like it
curious.
either.
I was just curious because I was just like, I wonder what Dallas is going to
And we
get.
should define compensatory picks real quickly. When you lose a player in free agency and they go to another team, then the league will award you compensatory picks. So if you lose a big-time player in free agency, like a DeMarcus Lawrence, then you get something back, compensatory draft picks. And so usually, most of them are like 5th or 6th round, but depending on the contract, that kind of thing, then you can be higher.
Whose fault is it, Chris? Whose fault is it that they only going to get a 5th? Whose fault is it? Who do I blame?
Well, what happens is other teams get canceled out, right? So we lose a guy, but we pick up a guy.
Nah.
So it cancels out. So Dowdle left, right? And then Williams, we picked up Williams, and their contracts are very similar, so those just cancel out.
Fine.
So you don't get one for him. So
But Lawrence's contract isn't similar to somebody else's on this.
no. So you'll get something for Lawrence, but I don't think it's like
It's not that much.
Not
Not even a 4th, Chris. Not even a
he's
4th.
only making $10 million this year. It was a 3-year,
look at it.
3 point something million or something.
They
like that.
only gave
Or
him $2.
it's like $10 million
He's
a year.
It's
It's like,
Seattle.
I think it's 3, right? I'll have to look it
I
up.
love that.
They're
I'll
going
look
to
it
be
up.
good for a while.
All right.
Yuck.
Well, ladies, that's why it's so important for them to get this defensive coordinator in here so we can start figuring out what are these players, which of these players kind of fit the scheme that they're trying to, flexible scheme that they're trying to fit. So.
Yeah, and by the way, Lawrence's base was $5.15 million, and he was 7.7 against the cap.
There
So
you
he
go.
signed for 3 years, $32 million. So I know the average is over $10 million
Yeah.
a year, but the cap hit for this year was 7. I'm rounding up 7.7.
So the article I read, it says the Cowboys will receive 2 5ths for Jordan Lewis and DeMarcus. Jordan Lewis and DeMarcus Lawrence.
Okay,
2 5ths.
you can take
Yeah,
those.
Fowler and Golston canceled out.
Yeah.
They might be able to move up into the 4th, depending on
Javonte
how
and
they
Rico.
ransom him and stuff. I totally forgot about Jordan, and he had a good year as well. Dallas is going to need those picks. Dallas is going to need them, depending on how the board falls, especially with them not having, a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all pray.
Well, we're going to keep diving into possible options, and I want to stick with cornerbacks Monday, or
can't wait.
if we are Monday, but if not, if the weather does not permit, we will be here on Thursday, back here at 9 a.m. for Girls Talk, Boys Talk, but hopefully you do see us on Monday mornings, but stay safe out there, do that weather. But we got to wrap up the show. For Brianna Aldridge, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, I'm Nicole Hutchison. We'll see y'all back here next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?